Hey guys, it's Natalie with Treasures of Minnie, and I'm still coming to you from my chair in my living room. My husband this past weekend made me this nifty little thing that would hold my phone onto the board that I work on. So yesterday, I'm really proud of this. Yesterday, I was able to actually make an entire card from this chair. We're using our Distress Oxide inks on photo paper with that technique that I did a video about. This is the stamp set from the My Monthly Hero Art card kit, and it comes with the dies. It's really cool. I don't have my Big Shot in here with me, so I'm kind of, I can't really use the dies or anything, but we are going to use this. I'm going to use the oh boy, camera, the little wine bottle set, and the word bonjour. So we're going to use that. And then for some more texturing, we're going to use this stamp set by Stampin' Up called Gorgeous Grunge. I'm going to use this one and this one. So the first thing that we're going to do is make this background panel. You can see, I think I did pop this part and the sentiment up. So we're going to make this background panel, and we're going to use the Distress Oxide inks. For the background panel, I used the Fired Brick and the Broken China. And for the gold part, well, first I used this stencil. It's called Mini Ledger, and we are going to use Twinkling H2Os. Now, I realized that when I got these, I really liked them, but I wasn't using them that much. And I realized, sorry, the camera's not very big. I realized the reason that I was not using them that much is, for one, you have to wet them and let them sit for a minute to activate. And they're each in individual little pods, and I just didn't. So I ended up, I had one of these plastic containers that have like the little dividers in them, but they were removable. So I took the dividers out and I made myself a palette. I put a piece of Coroplast in the bottom of this because it had the little grooves. You can see them right here. It had the little grooves to put the plastic things in. So I couldn't get my pots like to stick down with that. So I cut a piece of Coroplast, and I think I used hot glue, and I just glued them down, and they stay in here. And then the lid, I made a color swatch. And now I use these a lot more because it's easy. I just take it out and put water on it. So what we're going to use today is the Solar Gold, and this one, the Bronze Medallion. And we're going to use a sponge to do this technique. But what you want to go ahead and do, though, since it does take time to activate, is go ahead before you start and put a pretty good bit of water in these two and set it aside so it can be doing its thing while we work on the rest. The front spot is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, but the piece of paper itself is 6 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. Sorry about that. So your front side will be 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then this is a piece of cardstock that came in the My Monthly Hero kit that is just really pretty, and I love, and this stuff's really thick. I think I might be buying some more of their paper. I'm really liking this Hero Arts paper. So, but I cut a panel 6 1/8 by 4 1/8, and that's just going to lay right over it. So then that would have made the photo paper 6 by 4, but when I put it over it like that, I decided I wanted to be able to see a little bit more of the blue, so I just trimmed like just a sliver off the side and the top, just so that I could be able to see that blue a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside. This is the piece we're going to be working with. What we're going to do first is we're going to take our Distress Oxides, and what I've learned in doing this is I start with my lightest color, and I almost completely cover the piece with my lightest color. And then I build up the colors, you know, one a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, and I put less each time. So all you need for this is some water and your ink and your heat tool so that you can set it. So the way I do this, so now I'm going to heat set it. And I'm going to heat set this one. You can tell that it's set because when it's wet, it's real shiny. And when it's ready and dry, it has that chalky look to it. On this card, you can see I have the wine glass and the camera and the bonjour right up here. I actually stamped them with black ink after I was done with everything. And I'm thinking that maybe I wanted a little darker, a little to stamp them this time in spruced ice. So I'm gonna ink this up really good. Oh, right here. I've got my wine bottle inked up. I'm gonna do it about right here. And if you had this in your Misty, which I already have mine set up for stamping the lady, but if you had this in your Misty, you could actually stamp it a couple of times just to make sure you get like a good impression. And we've got that in this corner. It is, and I'm gonna wipe it. And this I might actually turn the camera off. I'll wipe it first for you, but it really gets to shaking. It works better if you have something with a little bit of grit or catch to it. Actually, I may use this rag because it's kind of rough and it really gets at it. All right, I've wiped it all off. You can see there's still a little bit of residue where I wiped, and with a clean baby wipe, which is probably a little wetter than it needs to be, but it'll be all right. Our stencil, and I'm going to place that over my piece, and with a little bit of some washi tape. Well, this is like kind of like washi tape. This is like really plasticky, but any washi tape will work. Make sure it's straight. I'm going to tape this down. All right, now with our twinkling H2Os, right here we had gotten this gold wet. I'm going to tell you, when I first started doing this, these sponges were brand new, and they were, you know, like this, and they really soaked up the paint, and I was like, man, this is wasted a lot. I don't know if you can tell this now, but now it's really hard on the end, and the paint sets right on top of it, nice and smooth. So I think in the future, I might probably like take some Mod Podge and just put it over the end of it and let it dry. Then you've got like a hard surface and you're not wasting a lot of your H2O. I'm going to put it on with a paintbrush. So what I do here is I just kind of damp my paintbrush, and I give it a good stir, because you know you had water sitting in it waiting for it to go. And I'm just gonna, that may be a little much. It's a little watery. All right. So I've got some on there, and I'm just going to, yeah, I got a little much. This is a little watery. So this spot may run, but we'll see. Sorry about the shaking. Also, I've noticed with the twinkling H2Os, if you get it too watery, like your pigment isn't as much. Like the same thing with watercolors. If you have a whole lot of water, then your pigment isn't going to be as bright, and so you may, but it's fine because you can do several coats. Just leave it taped down, and then you can put as many coats as you want. The piece, we're gonna set this aside and let these H2Os dry. So with our other piece of photo paper and our Misty, we are going to stamp the lady. Now, I kind of decided that I wanted my lady to look just like it was in the stamp, and I kept trying to place her down, and I just felt like I was not getting the arms and the hat and everything in the right place that it looked right. So I'm going to show you how I got it to look exactly like this. Turned it over the way it's going to look when you stamp it. I got out my Misty. This is the mini one. And I opened the door, and I just placed this under it where, you know, where I thought I wanted it. And then I put my stamps on the Misty door that lined up that way. So they're exactly lined up now the way that they are on here. Down here I have the legs and the shoes. We're gonna stamp those separate because I guess if you put this on here at the same time with it, there's a big gap. So just so that I had them handy for the video purpose, I just stuck them down here until we're ready for them. And then with the iced spruce, we are going to stamp this part of her several times because I want to get a good, bright, solid image. So I've just got her inked up really good. I'm going to close my door, push it down, and just give it a second for the ink to kind of transfer, but not too long. And then pull it up. And then I'm going to do it 3 more times. You have these legs, but then you have these shoes. And I decided that if I only inked the legs, like I didn't ink this part, then I could stamp these shoes over the feet. If you do ink these, this shoe you can get to line up almost perfect. This one you can kind of see part of the foot in there and it looks a little weird. So onto the photos so that I can get them right where I think they need to be. Pick it up with the door. I'm gonna look at it from this side to make sure I did it right, and I did. So I'm gonna stamp it down. As you can see, I got her leg. I'm only going to stamp this one once just because I feel like I'm keeping you guys way too long as it is. So then I have these little feet in these fancy shoes, and I'm going to line them up just like that. But what I'm going to do is take the same 2 colors that we used in the background, and I'm going to use the Gorgeous Grunge stamp set. So I've got this one first, and I am going to cut this panel down, but I also want to use a piece of the rest of it for something else. So I am just going to go ahead and just stamp kind of everywhere. I went ahead and after I let the twinkling gold H2O dry, I wiped it down, and as you can see, it's a lot more vibrant now. And I went ahead and cut it down, and I think the pieces cut about a little over 4 1/4 by almost 2. It's just, I just kind of eyeballed it to where I knew it would look good setting on here, and I would have room for a sentiment. So just kind of eyeball it. But these are the pieces that are left, and don't throw these away. You can use these for lots of other things, but we're also going to use them for our sentiment. But right now, on this one, you can see I went around the edge of this with the Twinkling H2O bronze because I felt like this needed to be a little darker, and I just did that with a sponge. But I also went around it with the fired brick. Okay, everything has dried and we're ready to start assembling. I just stamped it on a piece of the scrap that we had, and I stamped it in Memento Tuxedo Black, and then I just fishtailed it with scissors by hand. There's no specific size, I just kind of eyeballed it. And I went around the edge with this one because it's so small. I only did the bronze H2O. Now it's time to assemble our card. To add we're gonna add our lady here and our sentiment here, and I'm going to pop those up on some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Be right back. Okay, here it is, and it's just gorgeous. I love it. I hope you enjoyed this card, and again, I apologize. You guys know I've had surgery and I'm unable to walk, and so I have to stay in this chair. I think I have about 2 more weeks to go before I can start learning to walk again on this side that I had surgery on. So I wanted to show you one other thing. My husband is in the Army, and one of their soldiers is getting promoted, and he wanted to know if I felt like I could do a card. And I was going to show you this one. I did the same technique, only I think you can see here like these stars. You see how the stars and like the dog tag chain, see how that stayed white, kind of? I actually stamped my stamps on the photo paper with a Versamark ink, just left it that way before I put any color on it. And I didn't really let it dry. I actually tried to hurry up and go into the color. I will tell you that if you put the oxides on with a brayer, the Versamark works really bright and you can really see it through. I did not put, this time I didn't do it with a brayer because I wanted it splotchy. So I did the Versamark ink, and then I did the same thing with the smushing of, I did fossilized amber and ice spruce to kind of, you know, have that yellow gold army look. But I have lots and lots of different techniques that you can do with the photo paper and the oxide inks, and hopefully I'll be able to keep sharing those. Until next time, oh, please give me a thumbs up if you liked this and want to see more. It really helps me out. and hit subscribe if you don't mind. And until next time, hugs and loves from my craft room to yours. Bye.